You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt McGachy, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good whatever it is, wherever you're listening to this. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you spending a little time with myself and Thomas, and I think you're going to really, really, really enjoy this episode. So, let me just get started by saying this is a great episode. We had a lot of fun. But, and I hate to be this guy, but I'm going to be this guy, the real meat and potatoes of the conversation was in hour 2. And hour 2 is available over on Patreon. So if you've ever thought about supporting the show, if you've ever wanted a little more extra juicy content, you can get that over on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/tonemob. And for $5 a month, you can literally help the lights stay on over here and get extra content delivered to your ears every week. And that means this week, you get an entire extra hour. That's right. And there are, I don't even know how many episodes. Probably knocking on the door of 200 at this point, maybe a little less, but definitely over 150 of extra episodes over there. And some of them are extra long and some of them are extra good. And there's also sneak peeks that come up over there. So if you can, that's great. I really, really appreciate everyone who does. And also, if you can't, I get it. Things are weird all over. But if you could tell a friend, tell somebody that you think might enjoy this show, that also helps. Literally every download counts. And if there was nobody listening, there would be no point in doing this. So, yeah. Let's see. Do we have any other housekeeping to do at the moment? I think I mentioned this last time, but if you haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet, I spent 2 hours hanging out with the JHS crew, and it is available over on their YouTube channel. We talked about Soviet effects, and we played a bunch of Soviet-era pedals, and I provided a little bit of history, and we joked around, we did some jams. It was a really, really fun live stream, and over 30,000 people have watched it at this point, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. And if you haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet, it's over on the JHS Pedals YouTube page, so slide over there and check that out. And yeah, I mean, that's probably good for now. I think that's good. Let's get into this episode with Mr. Thomas Erak of The Fall of Troy and a bunch of other stuff. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff, sometimes, once in a while. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Thomas Erak from Fall of Troy and like 400 other things. What's going on?
Yes. I'm currently chilling in San Diego, producing my friend's debut EP.
So cool.
And vacationing at the same time, because it's like San Diego's kind of my, like, when I need to get away from somewhere, it's like my kind of second home.
Yeah, that's what Nashville is for me.
Yeah, well, I lived in Nashville too.
Did you?
I did.
How long did you live there?
About 2 years.
Cool. What part of town? When was that?
Little Mexico, South Side, Nolensville.
Nice. Yeah, I go there at least once a year, usually. I got friends and business people and other things there, and it's I love Nashville. Big fan.
Yeah, I do too. I really enjoyed it. I'd live there again probably.
But you are like me. You're a Pacific Northwest boy originally, right?
Yeah, I'm Seattle based, born and raised.
Born and raised. Are you still in Seattle?
Currently, yeah. I mean, I've been in a lot of places in the last like 5 years.
This might be really difficult to do because I was doing the math. I posted that you were coming on the show in the Facebook group that's attached to this show, and there's a few questions. And one of our older gentlemen in there, his name is Sean, and he has a company called Lollygagger. He's actually been on the podcast before. He was like, I don't know any of these bands. Like, you need to get older bands on. And I was like, well, the Fall of Troy have been around for, let me do the math, almost
18 years.
Almost 20 years. Yeah, almost 20
almost
years.
2 decades. Get with the program, Sean. Get with the program.
He likes to poke fun. It's his thing he likes to do.
I just poked fun at him, so it's okay.
He'll love it. I guarantee you that. Anyway, let's do, for people like Sean, let's maybe do the 30,000 foot view as easily as you can do. I know this is extremely difficult. Who are you? And, you know, what do people know you from? Let's see if we can condense that down as much as possible as it is to condense 18 years into, 7 minutes.
Who am I as a musician, or who am I as a person?
Well, we'll get into your person stuff later. But
okay.
How about as a musician?
I am a multi-instrumentalist from Seattle, Washington, predominantly known for fronting my bands, The Fall of Troy and Just Like Vinyl. And I have a project with my friend Kurt Travis called Pushover. And I'm currently really working hard on a solo career. I have an EP called Thomas Erak and the Shoreline, the whole story. I have out a couple songs under the moniker Thomas Erak and the Witching Hour that are up on Bandcamp that are very like slow melodic songs. I'm working on a concept EP right now under the moniker Tom Serak, T-O-M, capital S. Well, so capital T-O-M, capital S, E-R-A-K. And that is going to be called Thousands of Dead Satellites. And it's going to be a pretty ambitious thing. It's a concept record that is 5 songs, and then it has segues in between all the songs. It has an intro, it has an outro. It's going to be a dual 10-inch. I'm doing it with my friend Kester Limner, who did the artwork for the first Fall of Troy record and the first, and both the OG and the second versions of Doppelganger. And she did a lot of our merch, and we recently reconnected. And so we're going to do it like, it'll be more like a hardbound, like table book than a vinyl. So like you'll open it up and you'll have the 2 vinyl behind the cover, and then you'll have blank page and then the table of contents, and you'll have a 20-30 page short story fully illustrated by her, and then in the back, once you get to the end of the story, the inside of the back cover will be a pull-out lyric sheet / liner note thing.
Dude.
And there will be tons of Easter eggs, and the merch line will be based off of the story. The record's based off of the short story. It's basically a movie without the movie. So it's really ambitious, and we're taking it very seriously.
Dude, that sounds like all kinds of my business. That sounds like the project I just wrapped up on all kinds of steroids. I love it so much. Like, that's amazing.
The only other thing I want to say about it is that it is it's a post-apocalyptic,
like a zombie tale, or
no, it's post-apocalyptic. Like AI and machinery have taken over and merged with the rich and elite to harvest, like, the middle and lower class energy and pretty much get rid of them.
Gotcha.
But it's in the future, so there is ways off of Earth, but it's very dangerous. But yeah, it's also a love story, though.
Okay.
So it's a post-apocalyptic,
Like cyberpunk love story.
cyberpunk love story. Yes,
Nice.
that's pretty good.
That sounds, yeah, you're ticking all the boxes.
Horror. The one word I forgot to put in is, like, let's say cyberpunk horror love story. It's definitely scary. It will definitely be scary.
Oh man, you have no idea. You don't know me at this point, but we're gonna get to know each other. But that's just firing on all cylinders for me.
Yeah,
that's everything that I could ever want.
Well, look, man, I've made some pretty ambitious records in my life, and I feel like it's time for me to make another record that is to the standards of Doppelganger or Phantom on the Horizon. Like, I need to. I want to put out a solo record. I want to put out a solo record where people go, I mean, Fall Troy's sweet, but he doesn't. Apparently, all he needs is himself, because that is all I need.
Right.
So then after that, that's going to be coming soon. That's like nearly done. After that, through the pandemic, I have about 25 halfway or a little bit more than halfway songs of the Tuck that are going to be a dual LP.
Nice.
Yeah. That I'm not sure. They might be like a dual LP, or I might separate them. I might use one of them to continue along the story of the EP. I don't know. I haven't made it that far yet, but yeah, right now it's looking like I'm going to try to make it my like Melancholy and Infinite Sadness.
Man, it's interesting that you did decide to include the visual aspect along with it, because with what I did, I have a story in my head, and how I made this it's my only solo record I've ever done, and I have like this story mapped out in my brain, but so many people are taking different things from it. Like, I thought about getting together with one of my artist friends and writing a comic book, to go along with it. But then when so many different people were getting so many different things out of it, I almost like, part of me was like, maybe I should leave it alone and let people think whatever they want to think. You know what I mean?
I get it. Well, okay. The deal is, Kester, I've known her for so long, and her art looks like my music, and my music sounds like her art, know? And I know that she also she's a writer, she's a poet and a writer, and it goes, okay, it's not really a solo record if you really think about it, and that's where I'm enjoying it, because solo record is like either just yourself or you and an engineer, because when you're making music with an engineer, if you're firing on all cylinders, you're as one. There's no back and forth. There's no. Do you know what I'm saying? There's no.
Yeah, they're an engineer is there to help you, operate more.
Engineer is there to do whatever you say.
Right.
Especially because I have produced enough records at this point that's how it is.
It's completely different.
I'm a producer.
Yeah.
I'm a producer. So, but with this, it's like I have my engineer, but I really felt like I wanted to collaborate with someone, but not a musician.
Right.
Like, I wanted someone to help me write the story and to, you know, illustrate thing and come up with like just the like we want to make this a deep project, like deep project.
So it's a solo record, but it's not a solo project, I think is what you're getting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the short story book, the illustrated book is just as important as the music itself is.
Do you think that you'll, like, obviously they're supposed to be together, but could you envision each one standing on its own enough to ever be separated into two different pieces? Like if somebody walked into a book,
that's not the angle,
right?
like at all. The angle is to make it multimedia and have it that way for a reason, like and like so she doesn't have to do art for a vinyl and do art for a book when
Right.
it should all just be together as one world, one universe, because we're dropping you into a universe, you know.
Yeah.
So
I was more thinking about.
I understand the question. If it came down to that and people wanted to do that, then yeah, I definitely think so. Like, I mean, it's going to come with like a download card and stuff. So like, you'll be able to like download the record, like, because it's only going to come on wax, but it'll come with a download card, so you can have the album. You
Gotcha.
know, like on your iPad or your iPhone or whatever, and figure out a way to have it come with like some artwork too, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would probably be. I mean, I'm totally speaking out of. I have no idea how easy this was, but in my brain, it could be such a thing where you could offer. I mean, digital books are a thing. You could,
Yeah.
Go to the record, download it, go download the digital book, and read it and listen to it at the same time on the same device, the same way if you wanted to. So that makes sense.
Right. Or we could even do something like Audible.
Yeah. Oh,
with
yeah.
with the music in the background.
Yeah, that would be sick.
But
dude,
I don't know. I also feel like this project is meant to be very exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And like I want it to be very exclusive and be very special and like rare, kind of on purpose. So like, you know, something like that would be a very big deal to me. Like for me to do something like that seems like that would be awesome in another case, but for this record, like I want this to be the record that like people have a hard time getting, almost, like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we're gonna probably, I mean, we got to figure out how to do the book thing and all that, but I mean, it's gonna probably be pretty expensive to press in the first place, and it's probably gonna be fairly expensive to buy, so it'll probably only press 250 at a time, you know, and then pre-sale them. Hope that does well. Then if that does well, then we'll change the color variant or something and do another 250, you know, and just kind of do small runs, like even if even 250, maybe even less, but I don't know. It hasn't got there yet, but
right.
You see what I'm saying? I
do. I'm just getting into the whole, releasing vinyl independently thing, and I'm like, ooh, this is kind of. I mean, it's easier than it's ever been, but it's still kind of involved. Like it's like this is not just as easy as like putting this up on DistroKid.
Right. Well, I'm really excited. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm actually releasing it through a label from Connecticut called Fake 4 Inc. I don't know how familiar you might be with them. They are predominantly a hip hop label, like an alternative kind of hip hop label, owned by a guy named Chesky, who is a phenomenal Renaissance man of a musician. Writes beautiful folk songs. The next song, he is the best rapper you've ever seen. Then he writes pop songs. He's amazing. But him and this one other person run the label Fake Four. They also put out a group called Dark Time Sunshine, who are one of my current favorite acts. Like in the world, they put out a record called Lore this year, and it is by far my album of the year. Shout out to Henri Osborne and Zavala. Chicago meets Seattle. It's very, very good album. If you haven't checked it out,
I have not. I will have to.
But Chesky is taken the risk to put out a hard rock record. He's never done that before, so I will be the first hard rock record to be released on Fake Four.
That's awesome. That's
which
very
is
cool.
Huge because I've been a fan of Fake Four. I'm a huge hip hop head, and they've done stuff that's not just straight boom bap and stuff. Like they've done alternative hip hop and things, but nothing like what I do.
Right?
Nothing like that. So I'm very honored. I'm very flattered. I want to make sure that I deliver something completely new and different and forward thinking, and something that will make him very proud.
Totally.
So, and he's the guy that if I'm like, so dude, I want to do this whole short story illustrated, crazy idea. He'd be like, okay, let's do it. Let's see if we can make it happen. Like, he's the only guy I know that probably do that. But it's cool because Fake Four is doing very well. That Dark Time Sunshine record's doing very well. Chesky's records always do very well. I think Chesky's making a good decision, kind of trying to step into the rock and roll world a little bit,
Yeah, I mean, it never is a bad idea to, diversify when you're in any kind of business, and that's what a label is. So I think he's starting in a good place, and it seems like it lines up with based on what you're telling me, it seems like it lines up with his kind of whole ethos,
Yeah, it lines up with the aesthetic for sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you something because I've listened to your 2 interviews with our mutual friend Dewey, who helped hook this up. Pure Pleasure Podcast. Everybody go check it out if you haven't.
Yes. Shout out to the man Dewey.
Yes. Love that dude. We've both been on his show, and Thomas has been on multiple times. So
3 times.
Yep. Go check it out. It's great. Anyway, Dewey's also been on this podcast. He's Dewey and, Pure Pleasure and Tone Mob. We're podcast buddies, so go show that show some love if you haven't already. It's fantastic. Anyway,
I'm a huge podcast fan. So whenever I get asked to be on one, I really enjoy it. I kind of, even like you may have noticed, I kind of reached out to you to be like, hey, so you're going to do that podcast or what?
We were supposed to do it months ago, and then I had firestorms followed by ice storms. And
you had the end of the world. So I understand.
And so it kind of got backburnered, and then I totally spaced on hitting you back up, and so I'm glad you reminded me because my brain is frazzled.
Most musicians these days wouldn't think to hit you back up to do a podcast, but that's how much I enjoy them.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very glad you did because I was very excited about doing this, and I felt bad for not remembering. But anyway, where were we going with that? I was going somewhere. I forgot.
You were talking about Dewey.
Oh yeah,
you were kind of just segueing.
I was segueing into something, but I remember now. See, my brain, it's working again. I was listening to your latest episode, and I didn't get that deep into it, but I'm going to finish it because I always do. But you were talking about something that really resonated with me, and that is making music that that's similar to what you listen to versus what you're known for playing.
Yeah.
And that is something that on this record that I made, it doesn't sound anything like anything I listen to. And I fought it for a while, and my wife finally talked me into just let it happen, see what happens. Don't stop trying to make it into something that it's not. And once I did that, it was so much more enjoyable, and everything just kind of fell out. And I was like, wow, that seems like the way to do this. I wanted to know what your perspective was on it, since you mentioned it briefly with Dewey.
I mean, I think I'm a different kind of breed in general. I think, like, as far as musicians my age, in general, like, just, and again, some of these things that I say, I know they sound kind of cocky. I'm not being cocky. That's not my MO at all. It's just the truth to me. You have to understand. Let me give you some context. My dad has had me on stages in venues around huge rock stars since I was a baby, you know, and learning, Motown and Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones and the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and Jimi Hendrix, and things that little kids maybe don't even get exposed to, but definitely aren't like obsessed with.
Basically, sounds like since you can
Yeah,
remember.
forever. Yeah. I don't. Let's put it this way. I don't remember when I started playing drums. I don't remember. And then I picked up a bass because my dad's bass was always around, and I got pretty good at that pretty fast. And then we had a, a, a Squire Stratocaster in the house, and I figured to myself one day, well, I can play drums good. I can play bass pretty good. If I learn how to play guitar decent, I could like write my own songs, like all by myself if I want to. And that was the main kind of drive. That was the main kind of idea. But as far as going back to what you asked me, I'm just cut from a different cloth. I'm a little more serious about uh, like music in general, and I'm a little more serious about it, but I give a lot less hoots about what people think that I'm doing too. Because if they don't get it, then that's their problem.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like the Fall of Troy, if you listen to us, every record is totally different. Every song damn near on every record is totally different. That's by design. That keeps us in a place that we can do a punk metal song and then throw a blues ballad in there, but have it all be cohesive and be that band that can get away with that,
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been very proud of that. I know Andrew has. I know everybody that has been in Fall Troy is proud of that. Now with my solo stuff, I kind of try to take it and not make it such a mashup. Make it more like, okay, I'm going to focus on this thing I really like that I did in Fall of Troy and kind of elaborate on that. And then the next song, let's take this thing that I really liked in the Fall of Troy and elaborate on that instead of doing all these millions of things every 5 seconds,
Right.
I think Just Like Vinyl was a good kind of transition into that mind state. Like, because Just Like Vinyl was still kind of wild, it's kind of mathy, kind of spazzy, but was definitely more structured, had hooks, rock band kind of thing,
Right.
But now my solo music is taking it's moving forward into a place I've never been before for sure, but it's definitely throwing back to my early Fall of Troy days too, like with the concepts, with the structures of the songs, with the just the songs are heavier, but if they're not heavier, they're more melodic, but they're still technical, more technical than my solo music's been so far. Um, so yeah, dude, like this whole like this pandemic's been a bitch, but I've definitely pushed myself to make some really um, exciting to me music, and I hope exciting to people that listen to my music.
I think it's
I hope.
interesting to watch you, you know, I kind of went back and like tried to pay attention to what you've been up to throughout this time. And you seem to be somewhat unique in that, I mean, I know there's other people that have done this too, so it's not like entirely this, completely unimaginable thing.
Mhm.
But you seem to be very intentional with like, well, I can't do anything else, so I might as well be working on this stuff. Whereas
Yeah, definitely. It's more. I'm lucky enough to be in the position to where I can go work on this stuff. So it's my responsibility to do it. Not so much what else am I going to do? You know what I mean? Close observation, but it's more. I care more than that. Like I want to, and not only that, man. I've never been the biggest fan of being in the studio, and last year, and doing all this stuff, I've really like learned how to enjoy recording music. Well, it's still kind of a headache sometimes, but I've enjoyed it more lately than ever before. Let's put it that way.
See, that's a really interesting thing, and I remember you saying that with Dewey too.
I've been experimenting a lot more, like playing instruments I wouldn't normally play and getting better at them, and that's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm wired the complete different way. Like I'm kind of an extrovert, so it's not that I don't want people to look at me or anything like that, but
Right.
I enjoy the recording process way more than playing in front of people, it's just interesting to see how people are wired differently. And, for as much as they might do similar things, like that was never your favorite thing to do.
I do like the recording process because when it's done, it's so worth it. Like I like the end of the recording process, like when the touch ups and stuff. And like when people are when you're having people in the studio and like having a good time. That's when it's really fun, rock star type stuff. But like yeah, it can be very tedious sometimes, and but it's part of it. It's part of it.
Right.
I'm not trying to say that I just want to play live and not record. Of course, I want to record. I think, it's. I'm very proficient at it. I have ears to make very great records. What I'm saying is, it's just hard on me, like personally, because I'm such a perfectionist. Like I want it to be perfect, and that's what maybe I should not say it's not fun. It's difficult.
Yeah,
it can be frustrating for me.
It's hard to know when something's done, right? It's hard to know.
Well, nothing's ever done. Nothing's ever done. It's when to know just to put it down, because then once you get on the road, you can start changing it again and whatever. So
right.
I don't worry about that too much. I've never really had that problem too much. Like when something's done, I don't second guess it very much.
That's good. That's good. That's been something I've had to work on, because I could tweak to infinity and beyond, and
I can understand that. I can understand that. I can. I mean, it's not like I haven't been there before, but at this point in my career for a while now, it's like that was one of my first big problems when I first started recording records, was just not knowing when to stop. So I nipped that in the bud as fast as possible.
Well, before we get to, I want to talk to you more about songwriting and all that here. But before we get too off the deep end, away from gear entirely, we've got a couple things from the Facebook group that people wanted me to ask you.
Oh, cool.
So here we go. Ian Pritchard, who is an awesome dude, and he does a bunch of demos under the name Collector Emitter. If the listeners aren't familiar, check that stuff out. But he is a huge fan, first of all, and he says, how much does he think effects shaped their sound, specifically on the early records? He basically introduced me to the DL4.
I mean, I think I set some trends with effects. I think I was trying some different things at least, but I think people would be surprised how much more it is my hands than pedals. Honestly, you know, I really picked and chose when I used my effects, and I love effects. I think they're great, but what I've learned about effects pedals is anybody can have a delay pedal and it sounds like anybody else's delay pedal. My trick to any effects pedal is finding the spot where it kind of glitches itself or does something that you discovered you can make it do that nobody's discovered yet. And using that with your hands and making it something new.
I mean, that's how we got a lot of these effects. Tape flanging was a studio trick. Now it's in all these wild pedals. It comes down to pushing the gear to somewhere where it was never intended to be, and that's how you find new stuff.
Yes,
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Dewey's got like 500,000 questions. Dewey should just text you and ask you these questions.
He's just supporting us.
He is. He's wonderful. Let's get to another one here. Cade Hornbuckle. He says, ask him why he stopped playing Rickenbackers and if they would do a split album with Chon.
Well, I got sponsored by Gibson. And I would love to do a split album with Chon.
Well, there you go.
Actually, Mario is a feature on like the single of this upcoming concept record.
Nice. Very cool. I don't know if we want to spill all the beans, but you've got some pretty heavy hitters so far that you've told me off the air, but I don't know if we want to spill all those beans yet. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool if people know that Mario's on it. That's a thing. that's already tracked. That's there. So
it's in the can. Nice.
That's in the can. So
nice. There's a bunch of people just being like, I'm so stoked for this episode. I'm a big fan. Blah blah blah. Like there's like 6 people saying basically that same thing.
That's so cool. That always trips me out so much. Like just random Facebook groups like wanting to ask me questions that it never ceases to like humble me and amaze me. That people even care.
Right.
So,
it's every time
it's really flattering. It really is.
I like that. Most people I talk to tend to feel the same. It's like, wow, people care. That is almost the most mind-blowing thing. Yeah, like even with this show, I'm like, wow, the messages and stuff I get, like people really care about this, and it's hard for me to process. I have that imposter syndrome thing pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
But well, thank you.
You're not meant to process it. Like you're just meant to keep on keeping on.
Keep on trucking.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm supposed to do too.
I think you're right about that.
I think if we think about it too hard, we'll lose the magic that we have in the first place.
Just got to keep on trucking. I like it. So one of Dewey's questions that he listed in his wall of questions was actually something I wanted to get into back when you were talking about stuff earlier, and that is your relationship with your dad.
Yeah.
You talked about how that was really important, but What was his role? What made him
still very
still very important? So yeah,
yeah.
what's his story? How come he was introducing to you all this stuff so young, and so it seems like it was just there from day one? What's
I
the
mean,
story there?
he was a touring musician, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was the baddest bass player anywhere. Like he was a for hire, you know, touring / session guy. He played with everybody from, you know, the Eagles dudes to Heart to the Allman
Wow.
Brothers to BB King. Um, you know, he was real deal. And my sister was born. She was older than me, so he kind of slowed down. And then when I was born, he was on tour with Heart, and he was like, "Look, my wife's going into labor with my son, and I missed my daughter being born. I'm not missing this. Oh, I know you guys. I know you guys got to back up, so you'll be fine. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been a great, you know, year and a half or whatever it was." And he went home and never went back to being on the road full time.
Wow.
So imagine how he feels that I followed in his footsteps and like maybe even have been more successful, you know. It's something that I felt my whole life that I owe him.
I
You know,
imagine that he's always been really supportive. You know, a lot of people.
insanely.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents might be more hesitant for their kids to try to follow this path, and you know, for good reason. But
Yeah, but dude,
when he's seen it,
there was never a question of where I was headed, ever,
right?
ever.
Do you feel like he? Do you think you would have done that with even if he didn't kind of expose you to all that stuff? Do you think you would have had a natural, just maybe possibly even genetic predisposition?
Yeah, because he didn't groom me or anything. I had to beg him to get me out of situations when I was stuck. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was definitely not a stage parent kind of thing. It was like, Dad, please, like I'm stuck with this. Please help me. All right, you know. But he never forced me to do anything, and it was just seeing him play was so cool, man. It was, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's the coolest thing ever. I just wanted to be my dad. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. No plan B or C. That's it. I'm doing that, no matter what it takes, and that's what I'm still doing. So pretty crazy.
That's amazing, man.
Pretty scary sometimes too, especially now.
Yeah, there's so much uncertainty, you know, and weirdness in the world. It's hard, especially
To say the least.
yeah, exactly. I feel like we're headed to light at the end of the tunnel, though, and that's a good thing because we haven't had that for a while, it seems. But you mentioned something earlier that before we were recording that you just got a bunch of new gear.
Yeah.
And you were wanting to talk about it, it sounded like. So what did you get? What are you excited about?
Well, Andrew, our drummer, like he's just finished up his electrical engineering degree.
Nice.
And so he's built a bunch of like synths, like analog synths. And he makes like electronic music in his free time. And so he called me up and was like, "Hey, what do you think about giving each other each, you know, a reasonable budget to get some new gear for when we make this new record that we're going to make next year?" And I was like, "Okay." You know, yeah, yeah. And so I got my hands on an Empress Echo system, which is
yeah,
dope.
so
But
cool.
I got my hands on my current favorite pedal that I've ever had, which is a hologram effects microcosm.
Dude, me and you both. I am
Yeah,
obsessed with that thing right now.
yeah, yeah. And it's really both of them together. I've only had them for a little while. I'm still really. It's going to take me a while to really master those pedals, but I'm going to master those pedals like nobody else. So get out the way, everyone, because I'm going to leave y'all in the dust. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I'll get out of the way then.
I mean, this is me talking to myself because they are very intimidating pedals.
Yeah, I think the ecosystem is more straightforward, but
Yeah,
still
but
a lot. It's still a
so
lot.
much stuff, dude. Like every month, it's like 48 new things on the SD card. It's
Mm-hmm.
so crazy, and like programming and stuff. Like I'm not super used to that, but I think that the microcosms kind of in my brain a little easier, honestly.
Really? See,
Yeah,
I'm flip flopped. The microcosm takes a little bit more. I love that thing so much. What I love the most about it, I think, is how wild it is. But if you don't want to get that wild, you can. There's some immediately available awesomeness that you don't have to be a genius at it to access, which is pretty cool.
sure. Yeah, definitely. See, my style of guitar playing is so abstract that it works like real well sometimes, being just completely nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of goes back to what I'm saying about finding what the pedal can do along with your hands that sounds like nobody else can make it sound.
Right.
So that pedal is definitely um, pushing that button for me.
Do you have a favorite trick that you've discovered with it yet?
Um, there's a few things. There's a few things I've figured out. I'm very into the mosaic mode. I'm very into the ARP
Mm-hmm.
mode. Um, I think it's really cool that you can like
It's hard when it's not right in front of you. I'm looking around.
yeah,
I'm
it's
trying to see if I can see it from here, and I
like
can't.
the looper situation. How you can keep it in time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
very interesting. Of course, how you can like loop and then speed up the loop, slow down the loop, reverse the loop, all while having effects going. Pretty cool.
I've had a lot of fun with the reverse. I'm not gonna lie. It
Yeah.
it completely. It's so fun because you can play a chord or a progression, and then reverse it, and then I've tried to play it in reverse, and that just like melts my brain because I'm not that good. Um,
Yeah.
trying to play along with the reversed sound, I'm like, what? This should be easier than I'm making it in my head. It's
Yeah.
it's bizarre.
Yeah. And then I got recently sponsored by my friend Nick Diener, who was in a band called the Swellers. He's making pedals now.
Oh,
And
nice.
he sent me two pedals. He sent me a pedal called the Goon Fuzz, which is just the gnarliest fuzz pedal you've ever heard, like in your life. Like regular, like it's two buttons. The regular fuzz is out of control, just one big knob, like, and then it has like another button just that makes it go out of control and gives you all these crazy harmonics and just crazy stuff.
That sounds fun.
Perfect for my pedal board. Then he also makes a pedal that is basically made to be a clone or to sound like the distortion sound on Weezer's Blue album.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and it's called a Red Rider, and I really love that too. Um, so shout out to Wonder Effects in Michigan. Um, then also My buddy Phil at CMC Guitars has taken on the task of creating my custom pedal. That is like it's called the Tom, which is the triple octave manipulator.
Triple octave.
Yeah,
Tell me more.
so you can control. You have a master. I'm just going to go from the top. So you have like it goes down the side, and then there's other controls. So you have a master volume at the top. Then you have the volume for the highest octave. Then you have a gain for the high octave. Then you have just the regular, the middle volume, and then you have the gain for that. Then you have the low octave and the gain for that. And then you have another switch that can take you from starting at the left, just regular octave, then what are the other settings? Regular octave, then square wave octave.
Oh, okay.
Then sub octave. So it goes real nasty and low. And then the fourth one is square sine wave or square sub octave, which is
Gotcha.
really crazy too.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing about it too is it does tons of things. Like one thing I found out about it is if I turn off like the high octave and the low octave, and I just use the middle, like turn the middle octave up, like the volume of the regular, like my regular signal.
Right, the
and
natural
then turn,
note.
Yeah, turn that up, then turn the gain up to about, I don't know, maybe 2 o'clock. And then the master volume up top, turn that to about 2 o'clock too. And it has the most unbelievably like tone delicious tube screamer-esque sound ever.
Nice.
So it can be used as like a tube screamer, or you can just take that whole thing out and just go octaves. You can just take everything out except for the low octaves and go like sub bass, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a plethora of useful stuff.
That sounds awesome. You know when that's coming out?
So soon, man. Like Phil has the handmade boards all done. He's got 15 of them done, and now he's waiting on the boxes. Once he gets the boxes, he's putting them together, and we're going to announce the release date.
Sweet.
But we're going to do the first 15 hand-wired, hand-signed. Then after that, he's going to move over to PVC boards so he can make them a little more efficiently and cheaper. But, I mean, if you're going to ask me, I would want the one that I have, which is, the hand-wired, like, OG one, just because it just does really amazing things that I don't think it's going to do quite as well, like, after the first 15. So if you got the money out there and you want a pedal that is very one of a kind, and I promise you will be happy with, keep your eyes open, because they will go fast. I don't doubt that. But
right.
I want them to go to people that are really going to use them,
Of course.
Well, and they're a collector's item, honestly. Like the first 15, because they're going to be like hand signed, and they'll never be made like that again. So it is what it is.
It's a special release thing. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I've wanted to design and work with somebody that's very competent of making pedals forever. And so this kind of falling into my lap has been really awesome. But I'm really nervous about it because I really want it to like do well. I really, really want it to do well. If it doesn't do well, I'm going to be really upset.
I think it's going to be all right, man. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, I hope so too. But I'm just like that, you know.
You have to will it into existence. It'll happen for you.
No, if that's the case, I've done that my whole life. I guess I'll be all right.
That's what I was going to say. It seems like that's like basically your entire career. So
Yeah. I mean, I've willed everything I know into existence, I think.
So we're getting close to the end of the main episode. But one thing, we got a few minutes before we get into the classic questions, but I do want to ask something that I like to ask anybody who's had a lot of experience in the music industry and has been able to carve out a career of some sort for themselves. You know, I like to get this question out there because there's a lot of people listening that would like your insight. So what would you say to somebody, you know, maybe just starting out or thinking they want to do something, you know, similar to what you've done or just in the music business in general? Do you have any just general advice for them?
Just record for now.
Mm-hmm.
Just record, practice, hone your craft. Maybe consider having a change of career path, but if not, just work on your craft until this nightmare gets back to where we can actually do something with it again.
All right.
Because that's what I've been doing. Yeah, that's all I know how to do.
Right.
And that's coming from the guy that like loves to play shows more than anybody in the world. You know, it's I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You know,
Right. Like
I've had thoughts of like letting it go over the last year. You know,
really like hanging it up, calling it a day.
Hanging it up until I can have an opportunity to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but fortunately or unfortunately for me, I guess it's just no bitch in my blood like that. So I instead I went into the studio and got this EP going, and then I got another massive. I got enough work to do to where I won't have it done until I can get back on the road anyways. So for all you youngsters out there that want to, make rock music live again, I would really suggest focusing on your actual skills and not your haircuts, and not what you're wearing. And I mean, fashion is cool. I'm with it, but
And you do have nice hair.
Thank you. But I can play the guitar equally as nice as my hair. So I just encourage people to. I really love it when I see youngsters that can play their asses off. I love that, and and write a song and put it together. Don't worry so much about a career right now as just playing music because you love it. That's my advice.
Yeah, just make stuff.
Yeah, just do it as much as you can if you really love it.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've thought about that advice a lot lately, and that's the nicest way I can give it.
All right, that works.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got our classic questions to wrap this show up, but before we get into that, this is your chance to put up a billboard of sorts, tell everyone anything that you want to tell them. It can be a plug, it can be a shout out to your Aunt Tilly. It can be literally anything you want. It's now's the time to do it.
Shout out to my homies, A Different Kind of Giant in San Diego, that I'm helping make their debut EP. Keep your eye out for that. It's gonna be dope. I don't just say that because I'm working on it with them. I'm saying that because I'm working on it with them because I believe in them that much. Also, I curated a live stream for May 21st that I handpicked all the artists that are going to take part. It's going to be a solo set from Kat Lee, who is also known as Tiny Gun, who is like one of my favorite bands. Then a band from the Bay Area called Treasure, with a V instead of a U. They're awesome. And then Strawberry Girls are going to be main support. And then I'm going to do a half solo set and a half return, as they are going to be my backing band of Just Like Vinyl. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
Sweet.
And that's going to be via the Fake 4 Inc. Twitch and I think YouTube. So shout out to Chesky and shout out to Fake 4. And yeah, that's gonna be an awesome evening. I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of gonna be my my coming out, this EP is coming out on Fake 4, but also Just Like Vinyl's back, kind of at the same time. So that's cool.
Very nice. And people can follow you for all the updates on that, and make sure you guys.
Yeah, people can follow me on Instagram at Tommy_dip. That's probably the best way to do it. I have a Discord. I'm taking a break from my Twitch for a little while, but we'll be back. But yeah, I'm excited to play some music and it was cool to just curate, some smaller bands that I think deserve some shine and some people are really gonna probably like.
Nice, man. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Classic questions. Here we go. And we'll wrap this thing up.
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling.
First question. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
DD3.
DD3. Nice pull. It's a solid one.
Slap for the slap back.
Of course.
Mostly.
Yeah. DD3. I love it. I was actually thinking you might say something a little bit weirder, but you can't go wrong.
That or I'd be amiss to not say it's not really a Boss pedal though. It's a collab of the Roland Boss Space Echo.
I mean that counts.
That's my most used
Space Echo. That's a great pedal.
But it's not just a Boss pedal.
Well, Boss and Roland, they're the same company, so I think that counts.
Okay.
In my book.
Okay. Yeah. So Space Echo or DD3.
Nice. All right, final question, and this is the one that people get pretty heated about. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Cheese.
Straight cheese.
Yeah, well done.
Mm-hmm. Like a good New York cheese slice.
Yeah.
It's hard to go wrong. Do you have any particular?
I mean, if I'm gonna go fancy, I really like prosciutto.
Oh yeah.
And roasted garlic. But if I'm just gonna eat pizza, it's usually just cheese slice.
I love a good cheese slice. It hits the spot in the most satisfying of ways, especially when it's done well, like you were talking about. So
yeah, it's kind of like a Caesar salad. It's it's easy to make.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta handle with care.
That's right.
Doing these things.
You gotta strive for that balance.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotta be well balanced. It's gotta all work
It's gotta have the
together.
right amount of cheese. Gotta be cooked right. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Just the right amount of sauce, just the right sweetness to balance out the salty cheese, a nice crunchy crust. Yeah, I feel you.
You know.
Yeah, it's my thing. I'm a big pizza guy.
Definitely not pineapple ever.
Oh, thank you.
That's not pizza.
It's something. It's something.
It's dog food or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I've found that it's, a lot of people, their perception is that a lot of people feel the way that we do. But if I go off of the guests I've had and the Facebook group response, I honestly think it's like 50-50. I don't think it's as out of balance as people think it is.
Those people, I mean, I'm sure they're nice people and everything, but their opinion is heavily wrong.
I think it's illegal, actually, in some countries.
It should be
jailed. Yeah, you could be jailed for it.
Or at least fined,
I mean, it depends on if you're a repeat offender or not, I think. You keep doing it, the fines.
Yeah, like, this has been 3 pineapple pizzas in 4 months, sir. You're going to have to do some time.
Yep, you're coming downtown in the paddy wagon.
I back that. Not off the rip, though. Not off rip. Give him a chance.
Give them a chance to correct their ways.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Maybe they could have like 1 a year or something,
There's like an allotment of pineapple pizza.
Yeah, you can't. We can't be polluting the earth with too many pineapple pizzas. They could have a day or something,
Pineapple pizza day, like the purge. This one day a year you can be illegal. This one day a year you can eat pineapple pizza.
One day, no one will make fun of you. Everyone will be fine. Now you did get me heated.
I knew that was going to happen. This is a passionate question. When people get
I've done pretty well not swearing though. So.
You did good. You did good. All right, man. Well, I think that's a good way to button up this part of the podcast.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, man. I've really enjoyed it. What's the Patreon situation like?
Well, we'll wrap this up and we'll get right to it. So 1 second here.
All right, man.
So for Thomas, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good time. Okay, there you have it. Another episode, as we say, in the can. I really enjoyed that one. I had a great time. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Make sure you go check out all of Thomas's projects. Seriously, the man is very, very, very good at what he does. Sometimes it kind of blows my mind. I'm like, how did you? Okay, I don't know how you did that. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds rad, and that is what matters. Let's see. Before we wrap this thing up, huge shout out to everyone who's been using the links. All of the links are ways you can help support the show by doing things you're probably already doing, like buying gear. The primary one being tonemob.com/Sweetwater. If you go there, Sweetwater is very generous with the percentage that they share with the show. So anything that you do through that link, it doesn't have to be just the things that come up on the suggested list when you click that. Anything you do will come back and help a lot. As well as tonemob.com/Reverb. They've been supporting the show for a long time, and Sweetwater doesn't carry everything, so if you're looking to score something vintage or off the beaten path, tonemob.com/Reverb is the place to go for that. And let's not forget tonemob.com/Stringjoy. That's right. If you need some guitar strings, that is the place to go. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. Share this with your friends, all that stuff. And patrons, get ready for an extra hour dropping for you with me and Thomas getting into heavier musical subjects. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Talk to you next time. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.